Now that we're just over a month into patch 14, I think it's safe to say that we've officially entered the mid-wipe phase of this wipe. As we progress further into the wipe, value slowly starts to decrease on some items while other items get increasingly more valuable. This is super important when talking about the hideout because some crafts that were king at the start of the wipe have now become almost useless, and that's why today I'm going to be showing you guys all of my mid-wipe profitable crafts so you can keep cranking out all those free roubles. Before we jump into the video, I just want to give a quick reminder that I'm live over on Twitch pretty much every day between 6 and 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So if you have any questions related to my videos or just the game in general, feel free to stop by and hang out for a bit. Alright, so jumping straight into this video, we're not going to be wasting any time because apparently you guys say I yap too much with my intros. My bad, y'all. I forgot we're in the TikTok era where people have the attention span of a cornflake. Anyways, we're going to be starting off with the lavatory where a few things have changed since my last video. Alright, so a couple changes in the lavatory, nothing crazy. I know I said last time I was rotating between the fleece and the gas mask. A lot of people were giving me crap saying that there's no profit in the gas mask when I believe I literally said I'm not doing it for the profit. I'm just doing it so I can reset quickly. The goal here is to reset crafts quickly so we can pump out as many of these things as we can. And by doing the gas mask, you're not only leveling up your crafting skill, but you can move on to another craft of your choosing very quickly with a fast rotation. So I'm still doing the fleece because it's still very good, even though fleece has dropped quite a bit. They're sitting around 15k right now, but you can't really beat it because two of these things cost around 4,500. As you can see here, they're 22.68 a piece. I'm going to go ahead and stock up on them. 4,500, craft the fleece, sell it for 15k. Not a bad profit overall. In the last video I said I wasn't currently doing Cordura, and I'm still really not doing that. Sometimes these things are going up to around 20k, but right now they're sitting very low, so I've kind of put that on hold for the time being. Instead of Cordura, I'm doing these ripstops. Now I know what a lot of you guys are thinking. Why would you do this? These scav vests are insanely expensive on the flea, sitting around 20k. If we look at the ripstop, it's currently sitting around 15. How can you possibly be making money doing that? Well, if you guys didn't know, if we go over to my man Jaeger, this is going to be at Jaeger loyalty level 1, and he has a scav vest barter for 1 slickers bar. If we go ahead and look them up, you see they're sitting around 9k. Go ahead and grab your 3 scav vests. You're looking at roughly 27k for the 3. Sometimes I see these things even as low as like 7k a piece, but you've got your 3 scav vests at 27k. You go ahead and craft up these rip stops. Let's say you're a little bit patient, you wait for these things to hit around 18k to sell them, which is usually what I see them sitting at. You're looking at anywhere between a 9 to up to like 14k profit, depending on how cheap you get your scav vests and how much you sell these for. Other than that, at nighttime I'm either doing the water filter or the air filter. Usually it's a water filter because it is a longer craft, and I usually have a bunch of these little gas mask air filters laying around from doing this one, but I like doing the water filter because it is 4 hours instead of 2 hours, and that just gives me a little bit extra for my crafting skill. So moving on from the lavatory, we're going to jump over to the workbench. Again, not much has changed here, but I have added in a couple of things that are pretty good. Still doing the red pliers and still doing the PCBs. You guys heard me talk about both of these in my last video, so we're not going to harp on that too much. I've been rotating in a few other things during the day depending on how much things cost. So if I run out of DVD drives for the PCB craft, I will switch over to the gas and craft because these are typically pretty cheap, sometimes much cheaper than the DVDs. These DVDs are just like all over the place. Sometimes you get them for 15k, sometimes you get them for like 28k. So if they're very high in price, I'll just do the gas hand, but I typically have a lot of these DVD drives. I pull them out of raid or I catch them at a good time and buy them for pretty cheap. But if I'm not doing the red pliers or the PCB, I've started to mix in the green gunpowder. Now people have brought this up in my comments before previously. I've never really mentioned this one in my videos before because I thought it was kind of self-explanatory, but the green gunpowder is actually a very good craft, and it gives you a really good profit margin. So to do this craft, you're going to buy 2 of these M67s and 1 smoke grenade. This is going to cost you 168 USD, which is 24k rubles. So all in for your craft to get started, you're looking at 24k. Go ahead and look up these green gunpowders. Usually they sell between 25 and 30k. That's usually what I see them at. So every time you do this craft, you're looking at about a 36 to 46k profit, which is not not bad for, I believe, what is it, an hour and 28 minutes. So I like to throw this one in every now and again just to make a little bit extra money. I'll save up a bunch of these gunpowders and just sell them all at once, and it usually works out pretty good for me. Finally, on the workbench at nighttime, I've switched over to doing this 366 AP. This one is insane for profit, but there is kind of a stipulation with it. In order to do this, you're going to need 50 rounds of SPP, which is ammo for the AS-Val or the VSS, and you're not going to be able to get a hold of this until proper level 4, and it is selling out quick because everybody knows that this craft is making an insane amount of money. So to do this craft, you're looking at roughly 54k and what it's going to cost you to get it going. And if we go ahead and look up this ammo right here, it's currently selling for over 3k a round. So let's just say you sell these between 2,500 and 3,000 per round, which is roughly where they sit at most times during the day. You're going to be looking at a 196k to 246k profit every single time you sell this. So let's say you run this craft at nighttime because it's 6 hours and 19 minutes. You want to get that crafting skill XP. You get on the next day, you got anywhere from 200 to 250k worth of rubles waiting for you there. Moving on from the workbench, we're going to go over to the nutrition unit. Not much has really changed with this one. We're still doing sugars. We're still doing the EWRs. I'm pumping out as many sugars as I can. They're starting to slowly rise up. They're sitting between 30 and 35k. I'm hoping within the next month or so, these things are going to hit 65k like they normally do. And I'm working on my third case full right now. I'm just hoarding the absolute crap out of sugar, and it's going to be a good day when it's time to sell all of that. Again, we're still doing the EWRs. These things are pretty good. The profit margin is not insane, but I do like doing them because it's sort of a quicker rotation when I want to get back to sugar. And if you don't want to sell the EWRs, you can trade them for Salewas with therapists. A little bit cheaper way to get Salewas if you're into that. And then at nighttime, we're still doing hot rods. These have kind of changed a little bit. They're not really profitable unless you're selling the hot rods at around 14k a piece. So anything less than that, you're not really making any kind of money, but I still do it at night because it's a 10-hour craft, and that is huge for the crafting skill. The only other thing I've added into my nutrition unit is going to be the Slickers bars. The reason I do this is obviously for the ripstop craft over at the Lavatory. This craft's going to run you around 55 to 60k to get it going. And if you do the math, you end up with 7 slicker bars. That means you can get basically one of the scab vests for free. So if you want to throw this in and use this for your scab vest for the ripstop craft, you can absolutely do that. All right, so moving over to the med station. Again, not much has changed here, but a couple of things I do want to note. We're still doing the pile of med craft. That's one of my favorite crafts. You can pump these things out really quickly, sell them in bulk, huge quantities, or you can use them for the item case barter. I think they're sitting pretty low right now, around 12 to 14k. But I did a huge sell-off the other night, and I think I was selling them around 15.5, 16k a piece. The important thing to note with this is you want to get these augmentants for as cheap as you possibly can. Right now they're sitting between 25 and 27. I would not be buying them, but I typically do find a lot of them in raids, so that's how I do mine. But if you see these things anywhere close to 20k, I would scoop up as many as you possibly can. And again, other than the pile of meds, we are doing the AI2s. We'll usually do pile of med, AI2, grab 3 of these so we can keep the craft going, and then after that I will rotate into the propadols. Now I like doing the propadols because this is actually pretty profitable. It's going to be roughly just as profitable as the green gunpowders. Your cost to do this is going to be between 150 to 165k, 1 ibuprofen golden star, and 2 piles of meds. The golden stars are very expensive, but actually right now they're insanely cheap. I'm going to buy both of those. Okay, I got one. But normally they sit around 80k, so really anything around this price point is a good buy. So I'm gonna go ahead and stock up on some of these. The cost for this craft is gonna vary drastically, but being that I just got those for pretty cheap, I would say if I ran this right now, my cost is gonna be around 130 to 140k. And these propadols are actually selling pretty good right now. I think I saw them at 28,000 just a few minutes ago when I checked. So if we sold them at 28,000, that would leave us with 196k. We go ahead and subtract the 140 that we spent on everything. That would leave us with a 56k profit which is not bad at all. At nighttime, I usually just try to make sure the Propidol is in rotation. I do go through a lot of Propidols in my raids because this is what I typically use for a painkiller, but I think I'm going to switch over to using one of the more standard painkillers now that my metabolism is a little bit higher and I don't have to worry about starving or dehydration that much anymore. But this is typically what I'm running at night. I know a lot of people say they run the defib at night. You can if you want to. It is the longest craft in the med station other than the LEDX, but there's just no money to be made there. I don't care what anybody tells you. This stuff is just too expensive right now to justify making these. But if you want max crafting skill, this is going to be what you want to run at night. But for me, I'm just running Propidol. So that's going to cover it for the 4 main stations. I'm still running the Bitcoin farm. I've still got the water collector going. The only other difference is now I am crafting Moonshine. So the way I'm doing Moonshine, instead of using 2 of my Found and Rage sugars that we're planning on selling when they hit 65k, I'm just going over to the flea market, buying 2 of them around 30k, and then running it that way. I believe the Moonshine is sitting around 260 to 280. They're actually pretty high right now. So 280k, you're spending 60k on the sugar, and then whatever cost you want to do for the purified water. I'm basically saying it's free because it only costs me like 20k because of all the water filters that I've saved up, and I can get about 1.5 of these purified waters out of a water filter. Still running the crafts over at the Intelligence Center. We're doing maps and the flash drives. The only downside is sometimes these customs maps are just not on the flea, or they're insanely expensive. I know a couple of you guys brought that up in the last video. So if you can get one of these customs maps pretty cheap, I would recommend doing it just to get 10 hours worth of crafting skill. I think it's worth it. Again, still doing the maps and still doing the flash drives. Other than that, not much has really changed in the hideout. We got the air filtering unit going up. I kind of waited way too long to do this. I'm kind of regretting it now, but it is what it is. And another quick tip I want to give you guys is for solar power. I would not stress getting solar power as soon as possible. If you guys are going for max hideout management skill, solar power is going to hinder you because it burns fuel slower. So don't stress about solar power. It's not super important unless you just want to save money on fuel and you don't care about the hideout management skill, then by all means go for it. All right, so that's going to be it on my update for the hideout. Please keep in mind that these are just crafts that I am personally doing. This is not a video showing, oh, these are the most profitable crafts that you should be doing. This is how you make the most amount of money. This is just what I'm doing. It's working well for me. Every few days I do a sell-off and I make 3 to 5 million rubles. It works for me. I make money. My skills are going up. Everything is good. If it doesn't work for you, that's fine. Nobody is forcing you to use the hideout. But that's going to do it for this video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Hopefully you guys learned something. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, please be sure to leave it down in the comments below. One quick note before we go, I am going to be launching a community Discord. I may or may not be launching it with this video. I'm not really sure. So if you've watched to the end of the video, check the description for a link to the Discord. If I do decide to launch it, it will be there. If I don't, it won't be there. But pretty excited about this. It's going to be a place for everybody to come together, meet new people, find people to play raids with. You'll be able to get updates on when I go live on Twitch, when new videos are uploaded on YouTube, and just in general, I'm pretty excited about it. I've never made a Discord server before, so this has been a huge pain in the ass for me and definitely a big learning experience. But I feel like this is going to be the best way for me to be able to connect with you guys and interact with you guys more than just over here on YouTube. So again, make sure you check the description. If that link is there, feel free to join the server. I welcome all of you guys and I can't wait to see you there. But other than that, I'll see you guys in the next video.